If you've ever wondered whether flickering lights are harmless or if your home's electrical panel is due for an upgrade, you're not alone. Homeowners across Alberta have real concerns when it comes to safety, efficiency, and staying up to the code. That's why we sat down with Ryan, the owner of Lumentek Electrical, a trusted name in residential and commercial electrical services in central Alberta. In this interview, Ryan answers some of the most common questions that homeowners are searching online, like when to call an electrician, how much upgrades really cost, and what to expect with modern installs like EV chargers or backup generators. Whether you're renovating, building new, or just trying to keep your family safe, Ryan shares practical, no-nonsense advice to help you make smart electrical decisions. Ryan, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
All right. So question number one is, what are the signs my home's electrical system needs upgrading?
Biggest sign that you need to upgrade your electrical system is when you find that, one, there's no room in the panel for new circuits. Two, if you're going to be adding a lot of electrical loads, so that being EV charger, basement suite, detached garage, if you plan to do a lot of welding and work like that. Anything large that you're doing to your electrical service, you should be considering it. Might not be needed in every case, but it's definitely worth looking at when you're planning on doing any kind of altercations to, or any kind of additions to it.
Okay. All right. Now, number two, how often should I have an electrical inspection done on my home?
Generally, you don't need to inspect your home electrical work too often. It's more if you're changing anything, it's good to, depending on what's getting changed, to get an inspection done.
What are those things that where you do need an inspection?
Anytime you're adding anything new to the house, you should be getting an electrical inspection. So if you're simply just taking a light fixture out, putting a new light fixture in the same place, you don't need an inspection for that. Or if a plug stops working and you replace it with a new plug or new switch or anything like that, you don't need an inspection. When you would add something new or change what something was doing before, so if you're doing a kitchen renovation, you're moving a wall or something and you're taking the electrical out of the old wall, it's moving it to the new wall, adding plugs, switches, stuff like that, then that's when you would call an inspection. If you're going to finish your basement, you're going to be adding new lights, smoke detectors, stuff like that, then you're going to need an inspection.
Okay. All right. That makes a whole lot of sense. You don't need anyone to come regularly check on your plugs and switches unless something is failing, right? Third question we have here is it safe to DIY small electrical jobs like changing outlets or light fixtures?
That really depends on the homeowner's ability. If they're fairly competent with tools, it's not a difficult task.
Right.
We've definitely walked into a few where they shouldn't be allowed to own any tools.
Yeah.
They're just
going to take those away. Yeah,
they've created more of a mess than if they just called us in the first place. It would have saved them a ton of money and headache. Mm-hmm. It really depends on the individual. If they know how to do something, then, like, if you're in a trade already, you're probably fine to do it. But if you have no experience with tools and
with power,
no experience with tools or anything technical, then you probably shouldn't be touching it.
Yeah. But, things like plugs and switches aren't too complicated typically.
Yeah, they shouldn't be. If it was working before and you're just updating it to a different style or something, it's pretty much just, take it apart the same way, put it back.
Yeah, don't switch sides.
Yeah, don't switch anything around, just put it in the same spot.
Yeah, and you should be okay. Yeah. Question number 4, what's the difference between a breaker panel and a fuse box, and should I upgrade?
If you actually have a fuse box, you probably should. A lot of people call their breaker panel a fuse box, but it's not actually. It's like way back they used fuses instead of breakers. Now I don't think you can even get home insurance without breakers. Too many people are putting different size fuses in just to stop them from blowing. So now pretty much everything the last probably 50, 60 years is going to be a panel with breakers in it instead of fuses. Mm-hmm. When you need to upgrade, if you have fuses, you definitely need to upgrade. With breakers, it depends on a few factors. If you're running out of room, if you have If you pull the cover off and you've got multiple circuits on breakers, then yeah, you need to upgrade. If you have a Federal Pioneer panel or an old Commander panel, they're known for not tripping at the right amperage. So I would definitely call someone in and take a look at that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Those are the times when you should change out your breaker panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So question number 5 that we've got here for people. How much does it cost to rewire an older home?
Again, that's kind of it's almost like saying how much does a car cost? Like it could cost anything from $1,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of hard to give an exact number without seeing the specific house, what the homeowner intends to use each room for, if they're doing anything that's kind of out of the ordinary that would require anything extra. The size of the house too, like if it's a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, you're not looking at a whole lot. But if you're rewiring an 8,000 square foot house, then you're going to be, it's going to be a lot more money.
Yeah.
So it would be the only way to really give an accurate number would be to come take a look in person, talk to the homeowner, see what they actually intend on doing. If they're, you can do one light and like the bare minimum of plugs in each room, and that saves money, or you can put 10 lights in each room and a plug every 6 inches. Right. It really depends on what they're using it for.
Yeah, so kind of tough to give a number on that. But what about like a price per square foot? Do you have any idea, ballpark of what a price per square foot would be to rewire an older home?
Nothing like that, just because we like to kind of tailor the price, like the job for the individual's uses for it. Like just really depends on what they're doing. But we did one. It also depends on what stage the house is in too. Like I was just thinking of a house we did last summer where basically it was a finished house. They just couldn't get home insurance because nothing was grounded, and there was a lot of like cloth wiring that home insurance companies were just like, no, we're not touching that. So we had to essentially rewire the whole house to current electrical codes without cutting holes in the drywall, without doing anything like that. That was around $25,000, but that was also a ton of labor because every circuit had to go up into the attic, down, and then through a closet. We had cut holes and put access panels in so we can get back down to the panel. They had 4 circuits or something crazy in the house originally. Wow. Like the oven and dryer were on the same circuit. That was just tied on the main, so it didn't trip no matter what you did. Wow. It was wired, the wire size was sized for just a dryer, not an oven and a dryer. There was all sorts of crazy stuff in that house, but then they also wanted to go with pot lights in every room. They wanted a fair bit of extra stuff that wouldn't be required if you just wanted to do the bare minimum. We've also done them for like a small house. The most recent one we did was a few months ago, and that was, I think it was around 12,000.
Right. So
we get really
anybody's guess as to what it would be, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that answer.
Hopefully it helps.
Yeah, hopefully it helps, right? So basically, best thing to do if you have a house that you want to rewire old, new, call Ryan at Lumentek Electrical.ca, right?
Lumentek.ca.
Lumentek.ca. You can give them a call, and they'll come out and give you a quote. Question number 6. Can you add more outlets or USB ports in older homes without rewiring everything?
You gotta start over. I was kidding.
Gotta start over. No.
Burn the place down, start over. No, you can add plugs and USB receptacles and all that. The age of the house has nothing that would stop you from doing that. The only code consideration would be you can only have 12 receptacles on a circuit. So if you're under your 12 receptacles on your circuit, there's no reason why you couldn't add another plug. USB plugs, you can just replace any plug with a USB plug. That's not an issue generally.
Yeah, because there's no data cabling in there. It's just power.
It's just power. All there is a little voltage regulator and power supply that just puts out voltage for your UV, or your USB.
Right, converts.
That was a lot harder.
A lot harder than it need to be. Yeah. Okay, cool. Question number 7. What's involved in installing a backup generator or EV charger at the home?
For EV charger, we basically have to, I guess for a generator too, we calculate out the electrical load of the house and see if the service is capable of handling an EV charger. Every house can have one. It's just a matter of how big of a charger you can put in, how fast you can charge your car. We've seen houses where we've been able to put in a 60 amp charger and they can charge their car in like 4 hours. And there's other houses where like we couldn't really do much more than just like a 30 amp like RV receptacle for it. Again, that's kind of a case by case basis. Almost all houses, if you just have a basic house with a 100 amp service, no big electrical loads, like if you have a gas furnace, gas hot water tank, you can do a 50 amp charger without any issues. For generators, it's kind of the same thing, but it's more tailored towards what the homeowner's using the house for and what they're okay with. So we can do everything from like total turnkey, the house goes out, power's on automatically. It's like there's no power outage, except for your neighbors have no lights. Or we can do it so you kind of prioritize what you want on there. That's the more affordable option for most people. So you can do it so you just have like all your lights, your plug circuits, and your furnace and freezers. If there's anything that you guys like that someone would need, that they can add on after too. So if you really wanted your oven to work, then we can size it accordingly. Most people, like, power outages generally don't last too long. So most people are okay with like their dryer not being able to run when there's an outage, and their like you don't need air conditioning when there's an outage. Stuff like that can kind of make it easier to size the generator for that. There's also the GenerLink option that we install, so it goes on the meter base and everything will get power. You just have to keep in mind it's limited to 30 amps. So you could run your dryer, but then you'd have to turn off a lot of other things while you're doing that. So that gives a little more flexibility as well.
Right. So there's a few different options there.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Question number 8. Why do my lights flicker when I use appliances, and should I be worried?
It depends on what appliances you're using, how they're flickering, and the way they're flickering. So if your air conditioner starts and the lights dim for a second and come back up, or if the dryer kicks in, they dim for a second, come back up, and are normal after that, I wouldn't worry. That's just a quick voltage dip from a large load turning on, turning off. That's pretty normal. When flickering lights would be concerning, it would be if if you turn your microwave on, the lights like almost turn off, and then they're dim for a while, and they come up and they do a dim again, and they don't really seem to stabilize after maybe one flicker or a couple flickers. Then I'd be concerned about loose connections and a bigger voltage drop. LEDs are super sensitive to voltage drop, so that's where you'll see, like, if you took all your LEDs out of your kitchen, put regular ones in, turn the oven on and off, you're not going to see any flickering. It's just the LEDs will amplify that, and a lot of the time there's no reason to worry. It's more if it's a consistent thing where it's always flickering, and sometimes they go like right out and then they come back, or something like that, then I would be looking more into if you have a loose connection somewhere, if the utility power coming in isn't good, if you might need a surge protector.
Grounding issues.
Yeah, grounding issues, neutral issues. There's stuff like that. But if it's a little flicker when something turns on, then I wouldn't worry too much.
All right. Next question is, how can I make my home's electrical system more energy efficient?
The biggest one is LEDs. Anything that's incandescent, you can change to LED, and that's a huge savings right there. They're almost 80% more efficient than an incandescent bulb. They also require less maintenance, so once they're switched, you really don't need to do anything with them. The other thing that we've been doing more and more of is putting in programmable switches. So like for my house, we put in on the kids' rooms, we got those smart switches. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, the lights just turn off because they almost always get left on when we leave to go to work, or they go to daycare or whatever. I'll come home at like noon and like, oh cool, all the lights are on. So we just have them set. It's like 8 a.m. all the kids' lights turn off, or like the outside lights, they just come on. You can set a lot of the programmable switches. You can set them based on your location, so it will know it's getting dark out at 6 o'clock today. So the lights will turn on at 6 and they'll turn off at midnight, or you can have them on all night. But stuff like that where you're turning them off and they don't need to be on, is another big thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. You can get more efficient appliances now, but that's a huge upfront cost to not saving a ton. Like an old fridge and a new fridge isn't.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth throwing away a good fridge to go buy a new one that'll save you $10 a year in electricity. But that's something to look for if you already are shopping for a new one.
Right.
Look for something that has a better rating and uses less power. But yeah, lights are definitely the biggest one.
All right. Huge. What about adding solar or anything like that?
We don't personally install solar, but there is a lot of companies that do it, and that definitely helps offset the cost. If you're selling energy back to the grid or using it as you're making it, then you're not paying for it because you're using it.
All right. Okay. Question number 10. Do I need permits or inspections for residential electrical work in central Alberta, like Red Deer and Blackfalds?
It really depends on what you're doing. If you call us because something's not working and we replace a part or fix something to get it back and working, and we haven't really changed anything with the system, then you don't need an inspection or a permit. If we're adding something new or if we're changing what something did, then you would need a permit for that and an inspection after the permit. That's basically the kind of the rule. They've changed it a few times. It used to be on the value of the job. So if it was under, I think $300, you didn't need a permit, but then they've since changed that to be, if you're modifying the system, you need to get a permit.
All right. Thank you for sharing the information today that you shared. Top questions that people have about their electrical system, upgrades, and so forth. So if you guys are looking for an electrician in the central Alberta region, so we're talking about an electrician in Red Deer, an electrician in Blackfalds, Lacombe, Sylvan Lake, all of that area. If you're looking for an electrician anywhere there, call Lumentek Electrical. They are the master electrician, top rated. They have over 83 different Google reviews now, which is a big deal for a small town company. That's a huge number. You can just call them and ask for Ryan to come out and give you a quote on any electrical work. Until then, see you next time.